Traveling through the night, one of the most iconic Union Pacific train travels from Chicago, stopping at famous places such as Cheyenne, Salt Lake City, Las Vegas, and on to the final stop, arriving at 8 a.m. into Los Angeles. The journey would be long, but it would be the place to be. Filled with all sorts of luxuries, this train would serve things such as the Colorado mountain trout or roast prime beef while on these trips. This is the iconic Union Pacific City of LA. Next week's video will be about the Virginian Railroad's electrification scheme, where we revisit the ELC and go in depth about why and the how of how they electrified the Appalachian Mountains. So don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on videos like this. The Union Pacific was no stranger to passenger trains at this time, having its iconic overland train that was pulled in its famous grey and black livery, or another icon which was the Los Angeles Limited. These formed the backbone of the Union Pacific passenger fleet. However, by the 1930s, a new movement was forming, and a new type of train was emerging. They would be called the Streamliners. Streamliners were a style of fitted to trains in hopes of reducing air resistance, making them faster and more efficient on high-speed runs. The Streamliner movement would be fundamentally built on speed and luxury, and American railroads did not want to miss a chance on this. In the early 1930s, the Union Pacific wanted a new high-speed, lightweight passenger train that could speed up and reduce operating costs for its mainline passenger services. Two companies were pushing for development in this area: the Budd Company and EMC, which was partnered with Pullman. The Union Pacific would eventually choose EMC for their offer of the M10000 train set. This train set was revolutionary in 1934, being the first ever streamlined passenger train to be delivered in the United States. This train set would have one power car that functioned as an extra baggage car. It also followed with two regular passenger coach cars. What made this train even unique to this day was its construction, being made from aluminum, and its power plant. The power plant was a Winton 191A V12 gasoline engine that put out about 600 horsepower. The reason for the gasoline engine at the time was that, diesel engines were simply not proven technology at this time. The gasoline engine would drive a generator and it would put power into the motors. The M10000 was used as a demonstration piece to showcase what the Union Pacific could achieve and how they could rule the West Coast. During the demonstration runs, the M10000 would hit a top speed of 110 miles per hour. Despite the performance of M10000, it was overshadowed by the competition. Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy would be the first in America to operate a Streamliner service. The Pioneer Zephyr would beat the M10000 in regular service and steal the limelight away. In many ways, the Pioneer Zephyr would lay the groundwork for future DMUs by instead using a diesel engine instead of a gasoline one, and it would also use a stainless steel construction instead of the aluminium. The next model that would build upon the greatness of the M10000 was the M10001, the sequel improving on nearly every aspect. It would be longer at 6 cars instead of the 3 cars, and instead of the gasoline engine, it would now feature the Winton 201A diesel engine. It would feature a baggage car, 3 Pullman sleepers, and a buffet car. This would be the train that set an unbroken record that still stands to this day. It would travel from Los Angeles at 10 p.m. on the 23rd and arrive at New York's Grand Central Terminal at 9:55 a.m. on the 25th. The whole trip from coast to coast took 57 hours. After this special run, it would be upgraded with extra power and better designed trucks. These trucks would inspire the trucks that you would later see on the EMC E-units. The M10001 would also feature an extra lounge car to add extra luxury to the train, and to add a little bit extra seating capacity. This train would see service on the City of Portland train. M10002 would be the version to surpass the previous Streamliners. It was even longer by including 9 cars instead of the default 6, and would also be the last of the turret style of cabs for the Streamliners. It would also take advantage of having multiple unit working that allowed M10002 to include a 900 horsepower booster unit while still having 1200 horsepower in the cab unit. The M10002 would enter service as a premier City of Los Angeles train on May 15, 1936. The City of LA would have competition in the form of the steam-hauled Super Chief service by Santa Fe. The Super Chief would also start from Chicago and terminate in LA. Despite the M10002 being brand new, the locomotives and train would be replaced within a year by another famous EMC product. In 1937, the EMC E2 locomotive would arrive on the scene. These were a diesel-electric passenger locomotive fitted with 2 A1A trucks, either built as a cab unit or purely a booster unit that could be multiple work to add extra power to a consist. 2 ABB sets would be built, one set for the city of San Francisco and one set for the city of LA. The ABB sets would produce 5,400 horsepower altogether, the perfect amount of horsepower for a large passenger train, just like the city of LA. The E2 used on the city of LA would be numbered LA1, 2, and 3. These would also feature a City of Los Angeles written on the side to distinguish them from the other E units that are seen on other services. From my understanding of and from what I have researched, the articulated coaches of the M10002 would remain on the City of LA, but with new motor power pulling it. I cannot fully confirm this, but this is from what I have been able to research so far. Now, the easiest way to distinguish the E2s from the later E units is quite simply the nose profile. It's extremely aggressive compared to the later Bulldog nose. That's why they would be later nicknamed the Shark Noses. By 1938, the E2 ABB set would be temporarily replaced by an E3A and E3B. The reason for this change was due to a bad derailment causing severe damage to the City of San Francisco train, meaning that those specific coaches and locomotives were now out of service. Locomotives needed to be swapped around and coaches needed to be moved in order to keep services running. Now, the E3s were very similar in terms of looks to the previous E2 models, however would feature an elevated headlamp mounted on the nose. The E3s would also have 200 horsepower more than the previous E2 models. What is actually quite confusing is that the E3s are numbered the same as the later E6s. However, from my understanding, these have been renumbered to a different model. I'm not too sure what it is, but that's from my own understanding. In 1941, a 3-unit set of EMC E6s would replace the E3AB set, and the passenger train would be expanded to the 414 cars. In the beginning of 1947, the City of Portland, the City of San Francisco, and the City of LA would be expanded to become a daily service. This meant that 4 trains would be required for the City of LA service. The train numbers would be numbered 103 for the westbound service towards LA and 104 for the eastbound service towards Chicago. The year of 1955 would see the inclusion of dome cars to the train itself. These were named the Astrodomes by Union Pacific and would have 35 made by ACF and another 5 by Pullman Standard. 3 variations of these Astrodomes would be made: the Dome Coaches, Dome Dining Cars, and Dome Lounge Observation Cars. These lounge observations were extremely special. These would also feature a special headboard with the name on the train, and they would also be extremely luxurious, with the lounge observations having cards rooms, cocktail lounges, and a special bar, while still having the upper deck and seating in the bar area. In 1955, the concept for the City of LA would have 4 EMD, E9 or E8 locomotives in an ABBA configuration. To follow this would be a 74-foot baggage coach, a railway post office, then a baggage mail coach, a baggage dorm, and a dome coach. Now, the dome coaches were just a simple combination of a regular coach with an observation deck. Then it would be followed up by a 5 44-seat coaches and a cafe lounge. Now, these cafe lounges served very basic food for your economy sort of class, basically your cheapest class that you could get on this train. And then we get into the sleeping section of this train. First, we have a Union Pacific 10-6 sleeper, followed by a Pennsylvania Railroad 10-6 sleeper. The Pennsylvania Railroad car would be in armor yellow, but would feature Pennsylvanian instead of Union Pacific on the car itself. The two would be followed by a club lounge, a dome diner, so a dining car with a dome on top, an 11-bedroom sleeper, a 522, a 244 sleeper, and two 10-6s. This train would be finally finished off with a dome observation car. Now, one thing to note is that despite Pullman divesting itself from owning passenger cars, all UT sleepers are labeled with Pullman instead. This is, from my understanding, is that they are staffed by Pullman porters under contract instead of regular Union Pacific staff. In the same year, one of the biggest shakeups for the Union Pacific passenger service happens. Due to constant issues with the Chicago and Northwestern Railroad, the decision to cut passenger ties with the railroad was made. The reason for this was that it was not seriously being taken by the CNW. Issues such as late trains, rough riding when on the CNW overland route. Now, Union Pacific still needed a way to reach Chicago, so they would now partner with the Milwaukee Road as an operating partner to help move the City of LA all the way to Chicago. This decision would cause Milwaukee Road to change over from the Hiawatha paint scheme of orange and black to the Union Pacific paint scheme of yellow and grey, due to UP paint scheme being easier and cheaper to clean, and also easier to repair compared to the original Hiawatha scheme. Over the years, the menu on board was consistent throughout the year. In comparison to other menus on premier trains on the East Coast, there was actually more variety in terms of dishes. Your usual steak dinner that would come with soup, fries, and a side of salad, and also a dessert of your choice and a drink. However, where the uniqueness was more in the terms of sides. What you could find in the 1940s dinner menu was a tomato stuffed with chicken salad, or a pineapple and cottage cheese salad. Now, by the 1970s, the menu had been condensed down a lot. However, it still kept a reasonable amount of choices. Steak and fish was still on the menu, but now would be accompanied by turkey and veal cutlet main options. One difference that you will notice on passenger trains on the West Coast compared to the East Coast is the normal inclusion of iced tea on these trains. In 1956, the Challenger train is combined with the City of LA and would operate as part of the train. The Challenger train would appear during the summers in 1957 and 1958 as a separate train. However, past 1960, it would just run as the City of LA. This was part of a cost-saving measure, as passenger trains were now struggling to justify the costs. Further consolidations would happen in 1960, where the City of San Francisco and City of LA were now combined and would run from Chicago and then separate at Ogden. In 1964, the City of St. Louis would be combined with this train. This would mean that the train would run in two sections in 1965. In 1970, the iconic dome diners on the Union Pacific trains would now be replaced by ACF dining cars. The end was near for the City of LA. With continued consolidations of the city trains, the City of LA would be nicknamed the City of Everywhere. It would drop the specific cars at the right stops, and at this point, the train was still relatively luxurious, but it was a very far cry from what it used to be. The last City of LA train would depart on April 30th and arrive on May 2nd, 1971. From May 1st, 1971, Amtrak would now be responsible for inner city services across America. The Union Pacific livery would now disappear from passenger trains and slowly disappear into the sands of time, where it would be slowly replaced with the Amtrak livery. This was the end of Union Pacific passenger trains. Now, I do want to thank you for watching this video, and I do want to thank you for your continued support. It's really appreciated, and I hope I can always make content that you guys watch and enjoy. I also want to say that if you are interested, we now have a group chat on Discord, so come on down if you want to talk all about trains. The link to it will be in the description. So please don't forget to like this video, and if you haven't, please do subscribe. Now, I just want to say a final thank you from me, my partner, and my pet rabbit, Mr. Morris. And have a good night.